Hey, everybody, welcome back to Prince's Friend, exploring music through Prince. As a lot of you know, I was not able to make it to Celebration. Many reasons for that. And we're not here to go through all of those things. But you know who did get to go? My friend DeAngela Duff got to go to Celebration. So since I can't give you the recap, DeAngela's here. Thank you so much for coming on the channel, DeAngela, to kind of talk with us here on Prince's Friend.
Thank you so much for the invitation. I always want to talk about Prince.
Don't we all? Even when I'm talking about anything else, I'll bring any conversation back to Prince. That's just the great thing about it.
And what's so great is that you can.
Right? Well, I guess let's start with Celebration as a whole, right? So did you do the VIP or the regular?
So I just did the regular. It's a very long story that I won't go into. But for the first two celebrations post Prince, I went VIP. Actually, the third one I went general, and this time I went general as well.
Okay. And did you see a big difference in the past ones between the general and the VIP?
In the past ones, I don't want to start off on a negative. So let's come back to that question.
Okay. Well, the reason that I was asking is because from the people that I've heard about who have done the VIP this year, yes, that there was a huge difference in the amount of content that you got as a VIP versus a regular.
I think it's actually not the quantity, but the quality. So the VIP, so as we know, Kanisa, aka Darling Nisi, went VIP, and you might also want to have her on. She raved about the VIP experience, and I totally understand why, because they were able to get a couple of studio sessions that the general admission didn't get. So anytime that you're in a studio, obviously it's going to be awesome, and you're listening to unreleased Prince tracks. Obviously, that's going to be awesome. So I think it's more the quality versus quantity, because one thing that was disappointing for me, and I'm still starting off negative.
No, it's fine, because we're talking about how awesome the VIP was. It's good. It's positive.
Yes, that's positive. The VIP was an amazing experience from everyone that I heard of. No one has complained about the VIP track. So for me, I want to go back a little bit. So I never went to the celebrations when Prince was alive, because I never went to Minneapolis while he was alive, because I knew that if I went to Minneapolis that I would never come back. And Prince already consumed so much of my life that I just did not want to move to Minneapolis, so I didn't go. So I've only experienced the celebrations since what I call post-Prince.
Yeah.
Now, what was really amazing about the prior celebrations is that you got 4 full days. Well, it's not complete days, but 5 hours, each day for 4 days straight. I was super disappointed that for this celebration, no matter if you were VIP or general, you essentially spent only 2 days at Paisley Park. So one of the reasons why I think that the celebrations are super important, and that I feel that every Prince fan on the planet should actually attend, whether you have the money or not, is because we want to make sure that Paisley Park remains as a physical building. So even though I'm gonna, have critique, not complaints, but critique, I'm gonna go regardless, because I want to support Paisley Park until like the 100 years goes by, where it can become like a landmark. 100 years is a long time.
That would be dope if it becomes a landmark. That would be really cool.
It would be so cool. So I'm saying all this to say, even though I might have negative things to say, I'm still going to go. I'm still going to buy the tickets. But it's really important that, people want to continue to come back every year.
Yeah.
And for me, the number one, what's really great about Celebration is you get to spend time in Paisley Park. Yeah. So we didn't get to spend that much time in Paisley Park. So that was like strike number one for me.
Yeah.
And I actually had already made my travel plans before they even announced the lineup. Like I heard rumblings, And I was just expecting the same thing, like Thursday, 4 days, Thursday through Sunday. And so I booked my hotel based on that and my flight based on that. Versus if I would have known, I got in on Wednesday because I wanted to go to the Paisley Five and Dimes party at Glick's, which I always go to, and that was incredible. Shout out to Eric Rogers. He does a phenomenal job. I wanted to go because of the merch that's usually sold there. And, obviously a lot of people come through. So Steve Park was there as always, selling prints. Alan Bolio showed up. St. Paul showed up. Tony M showed up. I'm sure I'm missing some people. A lot of people actually actually Sunny T, I think, showed up. A lot of people came through the Glick's party. So I was going to come Wednesday anyway because of Glick's party. But I didn't leave until Monday because I just assumed I was going to be spending Sunday at Paisley Park. But that wasn't the case. So I would have went back on Sunday if I would have known and prepared and waited until they made the announcement. So that was like a really big disappointment for me. And I'm going to get this out of the way. Like the biggest disappointment for me is, again, previously, you would start on all the celebrations except for post-Prince, celebrations post-Prince. We would start every single day with a half of a live Prince concert.
Yes, yeah.
It's super important. So for me, I don't need the panels. All I need is Prince. And Prince live in particular.
Yeah.
So obviously, because of the Netflix deal, they can't show a lot of video because Netflix bought the rights to all the video.
Okay.
Yeah. But like when that deal is done, they have access to all of this unreleased rehearsals, after shows, sound checks, concerts we haven't seen. So to be honest, you could give me 4 or 5 hours in Paisley Park just watching Prince concerts and I would be happy.
Yeah.
That's all I need. Because one, Paisley Park sound system is incredible.
It really is.
The sound is amazing. And as long as they keep that sound system up, it's just an incredible place to hear music and to witness music. So I heard other people say this, but it just felt like there wasn't enough Prince the celebration this year.
Well, I mean, especially just there was at least half of Prince because it was 2 days instead of 4. So there was half as much Prince, right? But yeah, I mean, I think, the half concert or some sort of piece of a concert, except for the one day where there was a Morris Day concert instead, that day. But the funny thing that you were like, I didn't go before when Prince was alive. You've only gone to the post Prince. I'm actually exactly the same. My reasoning is different though. And my reasoning for not going before is that I was like, I didn't know you could just go. Could you just go? Like, like people would be like, oh yeah, we used to come over here to Paisley Park and all that stuff. I was like, but that's like Prince's house. You can't just go to the guy's house. You can't just go and hang out. Like what? Like to even think that this kid who just lives in Florida could just go to Paisley and just because I used for no reason it's a bonkers idea that I wish I would have known.
I knew. I had a friend, his name's Jason Orr. He does the Funk Jazz Cafe. He would go and he would tell me how all these amazing people were there. And I would say, don't talk to me about it. I don't want to hear it because I don't want to go there. So I heard about all the incredible, like 7 days, Prince live in the flesh for $250. I mean, you can't beat that.
That's really good, actually. Yeah.
Then I heard that people were complaining about 7 days of Prince Prince live in the flesh, $250, 7 days. They were still complaining about the price.
And people would pay $1 million to have Prince back now. But when he was here, people were like, you want 250? That's too much. No, that was exactly that was a gift to you that he was only charging you that much. I would have easily paid that much. Oh gosh. So let's go to Celebration, right? It's at Paisley Park. It's two kind of full days. What were some of the highlights, some of the good things that you saw during Celebration?
So, I mean, anybody who knows me knows what the highlight is. I mean, in terms of, if you take Prince off the table, Jill Jones. So Jill Jones was finally invited to Paisley Park. She actually addressed sort of the confusion. I think they conflated her with Apollonia or something, and she got banned from coming to Paisley Park post Prince. But now she's allowed in the building. So I love Jill. Jill is just such an inspiration for me. So I was just so happy that, Paisley Park acknowledged her, because I just thought that is like crap that they won't invite her. So super excited about that. I was super excited that they actually played 4 unreleased Jill Jones songs. Cool. But we heard almost all of them except for one, where Prince actually sung the lead for 77 Bleecker Street.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So that to me was like the highlight, because I love Jill. I love originals, in terms of all of, even with the super deluxes that have been released, my favorite project post Prince has been the originals project. And I hope that they continue that series, and I hope that they would put the 77 Bleecker Street version on there.
That would be cool. Maybe that's why they shared it, right? It's like, ooh, it's a teaser because this is going to come. That would be cool, though, because I even did a video like right after Originals. I did a video where I was like, here's more things I want to hear on an Originals 2. You need me to do another one? Here's ones I want to hear for Originals 3. Like, come on, people. And they haven't, like, honestly, with all the material that they have, they could easily be putting out an Originals every year on top of their regular releases. You know what I mean?
They totally could. They also played, so another one of my favorite Jill Jones songs. I mean, all Jill Jones songs are my favorite songs.
Yeah.
Anyway, Violet Blue is definitely one of the top ones. And they played an alternate version of Violet Blue with an extra drum kick in it. So that was interesting to hear. And I don't know, it was just, Jill's amazing. It was great to see her on stage. It was great to hear these unreleased tracks. So that was the highlight for me. And that happened on the first day at Paisley Park. Even though prior to the first day at Paisley Park, everyone, whether you're a general admission or VIP, could come to a party at the W.
Yeah.
I didn't go to the party at the W because I'm not like a party person. But I live vicariously through Kanisa, and from her video, it seemed like it was a great party. And I thought it was great that both general and VIP got admission to the W party, even though the VIP had like a VIP area. Right. And they were able to meet with the photographer. I'm blanking on his name. The photographer who took the earliest publicity photos of Prince, Robert Whitman.
Okay.
There we go, Robert Whitman. So they were able to have a Q&A with him, the VIP people. So that was kind of cool that they got that extra time with him.
Yeah, at parties like that, what I've learned is that I'm such a wallflower. I just kind of hang back and I just like to watch and see what people are doing. And then occasionally people will come up and be like, "Hey, Princess Fan," and I'll be like, "Yes, thank you. Yeah, hey, really nice to meet you." And then I'm just still just watching people. Like that's me unless somebody comes and grabs me and like pulls me into something. I'm so not the person to just jump into a conversation with just somebody like on the fly. So I feel you with the parties aren't necessarily my thing. But yeah, I mean, I would have shown my face, but I might not have engaged as much as maybe I should have. But that's cool. I think the thing that I was most bummed about missing was that there was going to be the panel or discussion or whatever with Randy St. Nicholas.
Yes.
Because that to me, like, I got her book and she took pictures during some of my favorite Prince times, so I would have loved to have heard some of the stories behind those, because when the other guy who took pictures around Sign of the Times and Batman and all that stuff, and I'm blanking
Jeff
on his
Katz?
name. Thank
Jeff
you,
Katz?
Jeff
Hey,
Katz.
Dan?
Yeah, thank you. Jeff Katz, excuse me. But when he did his, yeah, when he did his a couple of years ago, I loved like hearing about like, here's this shot, here's how this shot happened, so I would have loved to have heard some of the stories behind some of those amazing shots that Randy St. Nicholas took. How was that for you?
That was incredible because I'm also a photographer and I collect photography. And, I have Randy's book. And one thing that they did, which I never thought they would do, is that they actually had an exhibition of Randy's work in the Purple Rain Room. So the Purple Rain Room is no longer the Purple Rain Room. I was very excited about that. Because I was pissed that the Love Sexy Room is no longer the Love Sexy Room. So now I can't complain because the Purple Rain Room is the Purple Rain Room right now. And it wasn't just her photography, which like they had these huge prints. I mean, some of them were massive prints. They were beautifully printed, but then they had the room decked out in pearls, just lots and lots of pearls hanging behind the photograph. And it was just something to see. And all of the majority of the photographs, if I remember correctly, were black and white. I don't even remember a color, but the majority were black and white photographs. And as you know, Randy St. Nicholas's photography is just exquisite. So I had only seen those, pictures in the Sacrifice of Victor book, and then the book that she just released a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
So really awesome to see. I'm really big into seeing art or photography, the real thing, versus, duplications or replications.
Yeah.
So that was actually her panel discussion, as well as the exhibition was, again, after, if you take Prince off the table.
Of course.
Prince back in, would be my second favorite thing about Celebration. And during her panel, they brought on Maite, and they, obviously had a relationship because she took tons of photos of Prince and Maite. Right. So it was actually really great to hear not only from Randy about the Maite and Prince photos, but to also hear from Maite. So I thought that was a really nice touch.
Yeah.
Since Maite was already there, she already had a separate panel, like by herself,
right.
And then brought her back for Randy's panel towards the latter part of Randy's panel. So that was a nice touch.
That is a cool touch. And, and that, I guess that's part of it is just like, I love Maite, and I would have loved to have seen Maite again, but she has had that kind of panel there before. So I've experienced that. So I don't feel like I missed out necessarily on seeing her a second time, even though she's great and she gives great hugs. So I got to give her a hug, and I was like, because I was like, I don't know what kind of hugs. She's like, I was like, ooh, that's nice. Thank you, Maite. It probably meant nothing to her, but it was huge for me. But yeah, so and I guess the other huge thing was the headliners, obviously Brown Mark and Maserati. How was that?
Oh my God. So I kind of wish that you didn't ask me. I did not go.
No.
I did not go. Not because I didn't want to see Brown Mark or Maserati. I was just exhausted. And so I think it had to do with it being COVID time. And I was one of the few people wearing masks. So I was just very conscientious of where I was, who I was around. And that can be kind of exhausting. So I had every intention of going, but this is actually something that contributed to that. And this kind of goes back to the way they used to do things. So the celebrations post Prince, there are essentially 2 tracks. Right. And for the 2 tracks, for your track, you would get everything in a concert at the end. But it was all in this tight, 5-hour block, right?
Right.
But during this celebration, they gave us breaks. So like with the last panel, there was like an hour and a half to 2 hours where you actually had to leave Paisley Park and then come
And then
back.
come back. Oh, ew.
So that is the reason, like, if I could have just stayed the way that they
Yeah.
did, I would have just stayed. But because I had to leave, and I unfortunately went to my hotel room,
Yeah.
and the bed was calling me, and I just did not want to get out of the bed. So I really missed Brown Mark. Now, if it would have been Jill Jones performing, though,
Right.
I would have gotten out of
Yes.
yeah, I would have gotten out of that bed.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
but that was one thing I was a little disappointed. I was like, you have Jill here. You have one of, she recorded one of the most critically acclaimed albums on Paisley Park Records. Because the musicians that are around Prince have, I'm sure they have muscle memory just due to the hours and hours and hours and hours of rehearsal.
Right.
They could have like comprised a band of, local Prince people.
Yeah.
And Jill could have sung her entire album from start to finish, and that would have been amazing.
Oh,
But
yeah.
they didn't do that.
Well, I wonder if it's because they even confused who she was. Maybe they don't even know she can sing. It's like who even knows? Like, how do you not know who Jill Jones is? That is just it's just racking my brain here. I have no clue how that even happens. And you work for Paisley Park, like that's crazy.
Yeah, so I was like, you bringing Jill here, awesome. We get to hear her speak, awesome, but we're not going to hear her sing, not awesome.
Well, so you missed the Brown Mark and Maserati. I think for me, I think I had said this in a previous video that I don't feel like I missed out on Brown Mark and Maserati, mostly just because I never really got into Brown Mark and his solo stuff or Maserati separately or anything like that. The only thing that I'm missing by not going to that show is a chance for them to convert me. You know what I mean? Because when Jesse Johnson was there, I was like, whatever, Jesse Johnson. And then I saw Jesse Johnson and I'm like, I'm with you, man. Let's do this, So had I not gone to see Jesse Johnson, I would still just be me, but without listening to Jesse Johnson, So that I think is the thing. So, because that headline is not like, ooh, I need to see that, but it would have been nice to see it. You know what I mean?
I actually love Brown Mark, and I actually I love the Maserati album. It's not that I didn't, and I have the Maserati album. I love 100 Miles Per Hour, love Strawberry Letter. I mean, and also Jill sung background.
She sang background on everything.
On Maserati's album on a couple of songs. I'm just gonna leave that there.
Yeah.
And so it would have been nice to see them. And actually, Shall We Dance on Brown Mark's first album, which was written and produced by Prince, is one of my favorite songs of all time. If there's an original version of Shall We Dance with Prince singing, I want to hear it. But that is one song that I listen to still to this day. I did hear that he performed Bang Bang, which is another song that Prince produced.
Yeah, I know that one.
Album. So that would have been really cool to hear. Because I've never heard that live. And I think that Brown Mark is a phenomenal bass player. He is like my number two. I know people don't like to rank Prince musicians, but I do.
I like doing it as well. So me and you are kindred spirits there.
So like for me, Brown Mark is number two. I mean, Brown Mark is an amazing bass player, but for me, Levi is okay. Even though Levi doesn't consider himself a bass player, he is my favorite Prince bass player. So
awesome.
Only Levi for me over. So if I would have loved to see Brown Mark, but I couldn't get out of the bed.
No, that makes sense. But there was another concert though, the Prince live on the big screen, but this time
the one I want to talk about.
Right. So instead of it being in previous years, just so for context, in previous celebration years, they have used the Welcome to America tour to do the Prince live on the big screen. This year, they used something from 1992. And I was like, wait, what? That's the one I wanted to see. I wish they would have just started with that one. And I would have loved to have seen that one multiple times. Tell me about that though. I'm so excited to hear about this.
Okay. Totally worth the price of admission. that big screen alone, that big screen show alone was totally worth every single penny. And I'm going to shout out Kirk Johnson, who I was told actually, produced the show, put it all together. He did a phenomenal job. And I actually enjoyed this big screen much better than the prior two big screens because I saw them both.
Yeah.
And even though, one was at the Armory and the other one was at the first one was at the Target Center, and then the second one was at the Armory, both very large venues. But it was just so great to have the big screen at Paisley Park. Like very intimate setting.
Okay.
And the band was synchronized to that video. And the Game Boys were incredible, so
oh, wow.
Yeah, so Tony, Damon, and Kirk were dancing.
Nice.
They had Maite dancing. So that was really phenomenal to see. And they had Chris Coleman on drums, which is like a Welcome to America tie-in. And they had Levi, and Sunny T, and Liv Warfield was on background vocals.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so it was, and the show itself, the Glam Slam performance, I overheard people after the show say how amazing Jughead was live, because Jughead gets so much flack.
Why don't people already know this? It's a great song.
So Jughead got redeemed through the live performance. And then my favorite part of the show was when he performed Thieves in the Temple live, which he rarely does. And he went into it and he played the acoustic guitar just like he did in the Sign of the Times live. Like he kind of did it in a similar style as the Sign of the Times concert film, which is my favorite concert film of all time. So that was really great. The Rosie, I wish, obviously Rosie has, health issues, so she probably will never be able to come and perform, but it was just really great to see both Prince and Rosie's just amazing voice and presence, be represented there. And I can't say enough about it. Like I said, like even if you bought a ticket and you did nothing but see the big screen concert, it would have been worth every single penny. But then this goes back to, for me, it's all about Prince live. It's all about Prince. And so that was by far the highlight of the entire celebration.
That is so dope. And because I already heard a lot of the stories about how much work goes into one of those live on the big screen performances, just in general. To hear that like somebody else was playing the drums too now, that's pretty cool, because in the previous two, it was Kirk Johnson playing the drums, and it wasn't that they were all in sync with the video. It's everybody was on stage in sync with Kirk. And Kirk was in sync with the video, and just how precise everything needed to be in order to make it work. And to know that now they've brought it to Paisley, like I would have loved to have seen that, because the other venues were great and they were big, but I think that almost took away from it. It's like I would have loved to have had a little bit more of an intimate setting where I could truly just engage and enjoy without having to worry about it, because there were a bunch of drunk people and stuff, the last time that I went.
With the other two venues, though, you're dealing with what I call stadium sound. So there's like a lot of echo and reverb. So they could be in sync and you wouldn't even know it just because of the delay from the echo and the sound of the venue. Yeah. So, I mean, if seeing a concert in a smaller venue in terms of the sound quality is always better. So, and like we said before, the sound quality at Paisley is impeccable. So it was just really great to hear such a tight, synchronized performance of the live band with the video. I mean, hats off, to everyone involved.
Definitely. Well, and I know I only have you for a little bit longer, but Do you want to highlight anything that happened outside of Celebration? Were there any cool get-togethers or shows that you got to see outside? Because I know I know like Jelly Bean at MMC put some good stuff on. You already mentioned the Paisley Five and Dime show. Like, were there any like really cool outside stuff going on?
So I didn't attend, but Rodney's 365 was in full effect. He did 3 different parties. I couldn't believe that he did 3
Wow.
parties. He was so tired. He was so tired. But I heard really great things about Rodney's parties, and he had a pajama party. One of the 3 was
Yeah.
a pajama party.
I've seen the pictures from that one. Yeah.
Yes, that was a lot of fun. One thing that I didn't mention was the reveal of Prince's mural, which is essentially cat-a-corner to First Avenue, which was really phenomenal because sometimes murals of Prince are hit or miss. And I was like, is this going to be a good one or not? And it is incredible. The artist did a fantastic job. And one of the things I love about this particular mural is that there's 3 representations of Prince during different eras.
Yes.
So elated to see. And then the mural itself is just so colorful. The color on it is just incredible. So I'm so happy to see that mural. And then I didn't see it when it happened, but obviously, they've renamed the street outside of First Avenue to Prince Rogers Nelson, I think, Way.
Yep.
So that's very exciting to hear. So combined with the renaming of the street as well as the mural, I think Minneapolis is representing, except we were taking a lot of Ubers. No one local knew that Celebration was happening.
Right.
Like in the airport, like just in terms of locals, no one knew that the celebration was going on.
Oh, wow.
And I just wish that you guys should know that this is Prince's month. Like you should be celebrating it up that, there are going to be a lot of people from out of town, out of the country visiting Minneapolis. And I just really wish that they were more prepared.
Yeah. Well, it could be too that in previous years it's been in April. So they're like, they're like in June, like, wait, where are all these people coming from? Because previously there's been a run on Minneapolis during April. Yes. So, just trying to give the people of Minneapolis the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they're like, well, if it was going to happen, it would have happened in April, right? Like, what's going on here in June?
Well, I'm glad that you brought that up because I hope they keep it in June because I think that we should celebrate Prince's birth, not his death, even though I know, because I know in your YouTube comments, people are going to say Prince didn't celebrate his birthday. Right. I know this, but even when he was alive, I celebrated his birthday anyway. I personally like celebrating birthdays. And I just think it's more festive to celebrate Prince in June versus April. And then also, let's be real, the weather's better.
Definitely.
in June versus April, because one of those years, I can't remember, it was 18 or 19, it was basically a snowstorm.
Yeah. It was 19.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think June is so great. Another thing I want to mention, because I didn't bring this up, is one thing I love that Paisley Park did is sort of the Great Lawn. So we ate outside. There were like 3 food trucks that you could buy food from, and it was really great to be able to fellowship with people outside, even though the music was extremely loud. So if I had any critique about that, turn down the music for the Great Lawn so that people can actually talk to one another.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but other than that, I hope that they continue that. I think they did it because it's COVID. But I hope that even if we ever get to a world without COVID, I don't know if that can happen or not, but if we can, it would be great to keep the Great Lawn feature. It was nice to be able to hang out on Paisley Park's lawn.
Yeah, that sounds fun. That sounds like a lot of fun. Well, I think we have a good sense of what it was like at Celebration this year. I'm definitely sad that I missed it, except for the fact that like so many people who went have now COVID. So I'm like, I was having such like severe FOMO, and then it's just like, oh, but like a whole bunch of people came back sick, and I'm like, okay, nah, y'all can have this year. I'm good. Like I'll go. I'm definitely going next year.
Yes, I'm glad that you brought that up. So when we checked in, we had to show our vaccination cards, which I was very happy for that. So I live in the New York City area. I'm used to wearing masks. I work at NYU. We still have a mask mandate.
Mm,
So I inside of Paisley Park, I always wore my mask. If
yeah.
I was in cars with people, I wore my mask. And luckily, I didn't receive COVID, but I'm also double boosted. The only time I didn't wear my mask is when I was eating, and I tried to find outdoor venues.
Hmm.
I know some people don't want to hear this, but I really do wish that they would have had a mask mandate in
Yeah.
Paisley Park personally. And I actually sat way in the back so that I wouldn't be around a lot
Right.
of group of people. So that's another, again, that was kind of one of the reasons why I was so tired, because I was very aware that there were a lot of people without masks on of all ages, because we
Hmm.
also had some elders in the building, and I was really concerned. I was kind of stressed out. And to be honest, I thought I wanted, obviously, I love going to Celebration, and especially in 2020, I really missed being at Paisley Park that year because
Yeah.
you couldn't go anywhere. But I just realized how much Celebration meant to me. But I think they did it a little too soon. I would have waited until next year. Obviously they announced it really late so that
Yeah.
a lot of the, the, the just everybody, but those out of the country didn't really have the time to plan. It is really expensive to buy very late, flights and all that kind of stuff. I just think, they should have waited. And so I was a little disappointed in that. And I kind of knew it was a possibility. I knew the
Yeah.
risks involved. And I went anyway, and I was very, very lucky. But a lot of people have not been so lucky.
Exactly. Well, and speaking on that, like it was a surprise when they actually announced it, even though I had heard from several reliable sources that they were going to, and I'm like, but why would they do it? It makes so much more sense just to wait till next year. This is weird. They're probably not going to do it. You're probably wrong. And then they're like, "No, hey, here's the announcement." I was like, well, I didn't plan for this because I didn't think it would actually happen. Everybody was telling me it was going to, though. I just don't listen. But I'm like, there's no way. That has to be wrong, though, right? But no, I mean, definitely, had I gone, I would have been masked up the whole time and stuff because I live in Florida, the opposite of New York. But I still do try to wear my mask, when I'm going to go to a place. I wear it to the store and whenever I'm going to places, so it's still an important thing to me, because I live with my mom who's elderly. So the last thing I need is to bring home COVID and get her sick and then something bad could happen, and yes, we're all vaxxed and boosted and all that stuff over here. But even with that, that just lowers the chance,
Yeah.
it doesn't 100% you, it just means less chance. So but again, thank you so much for coming and kind of giving us a taste of what it was like at Celebration, since I wasn't able to go this year and like bring everybody along with me and I would do like a video every day, and I wish I could have done that. But even just hearing the experience from you, like I feel like I was there. Like I'm hyped now. Like I can't wait for next year now. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that they include that Glam Slam footage in the next Super Deluxe edition. That's my hope and prayer. So I'm just putting that out to the universe.
Definitely. Well, especially if the rumor is true that it's going to be Diamonds and Pearls. Because if it's going to be Diamonds and Pearls, well, they're saying Parade or Diamonds and Pearls, and I'm like, I would much prefer Diamonds and Pearls. And then you can throw that one on there, and then it makes a lot of sense. And I'd be down for that. I would buy that in a heartbeat with no reservations and no grumbling. If they do a Parade one, I'm going to be like, fine, here's my money. I'm gonna buy it, but I'm not super excited about this.
Why wouldn't you be excited?
Well, just if my choice is Parade or Diamonds and Pearls, like I'm gonna be like, oh, no, with the Diamonds and Pearls one, I'm gonna be like, oh yes, but the parade one, like, I mean, we already had the Sign of the Time one, which already included like a lot of the stuff from that era. And you know, it's just weird that that's the one that's in the running. You know, it's just an odd choice in general for me. It's also not necessarily my favorite album, and most of the people on the channel hate me for it. But it's not but it's not one of those ones that like it makes everybody else swoon, and I'm like, let's keep going. Let's keep going. Like I really start getting into Prince around Batmanish. Graffiti Bridge is where like that's where like, oh, my meter starts going up. You know, and Parade's good. It's just not like, it's not my jam. It's okay. Yeah. You know, we can't all like everything.
Yeah, I'm happy to hear you're pro Batman, because there are a lot of Batman haters out there.
Oh yeah, totally. Oh, it's annoying. Anyway, that's side tangent. And we're going to say bye. So thank you to DeAngela for coming. Thank you to all of you for watching. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe and all the junk. And until next time, may you live to see the dawn. I love you all. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.